What's happening, guys? I was out here on Tuesday, which was June the 2nd. It is June the 4th, and we're supposed to have a full moon tomorrow, which is on Friday, which is June 5th. So I was told, and from what videos I have been watching, is that we need to take advantage of the full moon that we will be having on Friday. So prior to the full moon, you want to be out there fishing. And I was out here June 2nd, and I caught over 40 pounds of bass on 8 fish, and that's about a 5-pound average. So I'm going to come out here and try to use some of the same techniques today. The conditions are different. The last time I was here, it was overcast and the sun came out, and so it kind of changed, like a cloudy day with some sun and a little bit of wind coming from the south. Well, today, as you can see, it's kind of overcast, and they said it's going to be overcast throughout the day, but as you can see, there's some locations in the clouds that are kind of open, but it's more so a cloudy day. So we may have to change up some of the techniques, and we're just going to go out here and try to figure them out. So come along. The goal today is to cover about 7 or 8 different locations throughout the day and do it kind of quickly. And just keep coming back to the same locations, because you never know when they're going to be feeding in that location. So find several prime locations that you feel are going to be the best for this time of the year. Work quickly and try to come back to these locations throughout the day to see if they're feeding. Don't just stick to one technique. Try several different techniques in one location. Because on Tuesday, I was fishing a lipless crankbait, and I swapped over to a larger square bill and started wearing them out. There's a point that comes out right here. This point with these fast baits. I'm trying to create a reaction bite. And as you can see, I'm varying my retrieve. A bunch of cranks and then killing it. That's what worked best for me on Tuesday. So let's see if it's going to work today. Try to do very long casts to try to cover as much water as possible. Cast right at the point, coming out back into deep water. Looking for a big old bite. Wind's blowing right to this point too, so it would be a good staging area. A lot of the times bass will use the wind to their advantage. Now I'm coming across the point. Had a hit. Might have ran ran into a couple shad or some fish, bait fish. Felt a small little thump. This point's huge too. So you want to work it pretty methodically, strategically. Work shallow, mid-range, and then a little bit deeper, just to try to figure out maybe where they are. I'm fishing a Revo X right now, and it's got a pretty high gear ratio. With the higher ratio, it's actually allowing me to cover more water quickly. It's a 7:3 to 1 gear ratio, so it comes in pretty quick. If I were to use a slower gear ratio when I'm trying to cover up water really quick, my wrist would be going 100 miles an hour just to try to get that bait to move fairly quick. So now I'm parallel on the bank, not throwing at the point, but I'm going to be coming across this point. So almost parallel with that point. It's working. The bait super fast, killing it, dying, letting it drop, letting it sink, letting it flutter, whatever it does. Grinding on the bottom, I can feel it. Telling me that this point comes out super, super far, almost like a ridge. Maybe up on the top of the point, they may be in the middle of the point, maybe at the bottom of the point, so just keep checking. Another thing too, if you're working a point and the wind's blowing to that point, make sure you don't get too close to that point. Don't allow that wind to push you up into the areas that you're going to be fishing, because you can spook those fish. Stay back, especially if you're fishing a bait that you can cast a mile. Don't get up too close. Like I got a little close right there to where, you know, I could have probably thrown it all the way up in the grass. Where you're out here a little bit further, you cover more water with that long cast. I'm gonna come around here to the right side of this point, and I'm gonna throw in a different direction. Sometimes they say when you change the direction of where you're bringing the bait, you know, changing the boat location and coming across that point in different directions, you know, could trigger those bass to biting. So don't just give up on the spot right away. Try certain things. Another thing, you probably see me looking around a lot. You know, don't just stay focused on what you're doing. You know, this is, you know, you could do this with your eyes closed. I can keep my eyes closed, and you can't see that. My eyes closed, I can still reel, still crank. And when you feel that bite, you can still set that hook with your eyes closed. So use your eyes to look around. See if you see bait fish or certain birds or bass blowing up on bait. So be very observant. Keep your head on that swivel. You never know. So within the next couple casts, I'm probably going to change the bait. In the areas that I work, there's some prime locations. Because they ain't biting your bait don't mean they're not there. Try different techniques, different baits, different strategies. You don't want to stay at one area too long. Because if you have 8 different areas you want to reach, when you pull up onto that point or that location and they're feeding, you're going to start wearing them out, and you'll know. You'll know when to anchor down and start catching them. When you find them, you can probably catch them on anything. It's all about finding them, locate them. Work quickly. Jacob Wheeler just won that event on the, I forget where it was, but it was an FLW tournament. And he said he had 30 different locations that he would hit each day. That if he wasn't getting bit on one of them, he'd go to the next location. So I want to take that and use that as a tip to fish quickly. If they're not biting, don't just sit on that spot. Try a couple baits, different techniques, and then get out of there. Out of your next spot. I have about 8 spots that I want to try to fish today, so I'm going to try to figure them out. And hopefully roll up on them when they're feeding. That's usually the goal. From time to time, you'll get one of those younger fish that just want to chase anything and eat anything they can. And you'll wind up catching them too in the process. So. Lipless crankbait is a very good search bait, and you can work it in any kind of depth you want. The faster you retrieve it, the higher it will be in the water column. The slower, obviously, the lower. That's why I reel up fast, or reel fast and then stop it and kill it. Just try to work in different parts of the water column. All right, I'm gonna change baits up. This is a really good location too. You have an island right here, you have water that runs through this area, you have a main lake point right here, and then you have a spawning flat right there, and this water drops off right here into this deeper water. So they have shallow water access, and they have deep water access, which is a good location. 4, 5, 6, 7, coming on the 8th location already. I got a couple more areas I want to check. There's another area over here on this east side that I want to try too.
Look at that, baby. Look at that beast. Oh my God, he's so heavy. Can't even hold him. Look at that gut. Wow. He ready to go. Come on, big boy. Boop. There he goes. Had to double check to make sure we were still recording. All right. Now, that was a good one to end on. Early today and earlier this afternoon, I was catching a lot of my fish on square bills that dove from 5 to 8 foot and lipless crankbait. So I was really trying to get that reaction bite, and I started working around the lake and working all these points and locations that I felt were really, really good, and I wasn't getting those bites anymore. So I came over here to this point where I caught them earlier today. I anchored out, ate a couple things, just kind of chilled out a little bit, and called my wife. And I was just thinking, you know, if they're not really reacting to these reaction type baits, let me go ahead and put a worm on, and I'm sitting there anyway, and let me go ahead and just fish slow. And well, there it is. A 9, I think it was 936. 936, fish number 6 right here. 936. There you have it. It's about 91, 92 degrees. The wind varied today. The water temperature is kind of warm. I can't tell you what it was. The electronics worked on Tuesday and it was around like 82, 83 degrees. So we have overcast skies, a light wind, and I mainly targeted little pocket mouths and the points where those pockets were, and main lake points. And I really try to use the wind to my advantage. So this wind was actually coming down over this point, and I figured it would be a good location. And you know, I caught 2 that were over 5, a 6, and then that one right there that was 936. So you know, you just got to put some time out here on the water. It is super, super hot. As you can see, I got pants and long sleeves on, but it's very thin, and I'm not hot at all. I do sweat, but I'm not hot. I actually feel kind of cool right now with this breeze and sweat and this light gear. But it goes to show you, it's June, beginning of June, super, super hot. And I've been fishing since probably about 10 o'clock this morning. And you can still go out here and try to really catch some really good bass. And don't forget, try to learn and do different things throughout your fishing. Not necessarily your career, but just through fishing in general when you're out here. Try to figure out the fish, try to do different things. A lot of things that helped me was reading magazines and watching tons of YouTube videos. And now in these days with the FLW, the Bassmasters, and MLF, they all show live footage. So that right there is probably the best thing that you can do, is because these guys are literally fishing live, and they may be in your area, and if they're not, they usually show you exactly what the water temperature is and what the weather's like, and you can take those 3 things, the weather, the wind, and the water temperature, and use that in the same areas that you normally fish. Like if they do that in Alabama and you live in Louisiana or Arkansas or Kentucky, it doesn't matter. You take those 3 things, those factors, put them into your lake, and you know, fish somewhat similar to what they do on that on the shows or on live. A lot of the times what I do is I will watch what they're doing on live and try to go out there and do the same exact thing that they're doing. And a lot of the times you can do exactly what those pros are doing. One thing that I guarantee that those pros hate is, you know, they love to go live and show you guys, but at the same time, they're giving up a lot of their things that, you know, that really help them become successful. So practice those things, watch YouTube videos, try to be as versatile as possible. Bring out several different rods to work several different techniques. Just because they're not biting a worm doesn't necessarily mean they're not biting a crankbait. If they're not biting a crankbait or they're not biting a worm, they might bite a jig. So practice different skills and different techniques and try to, you know, use them out here on the water. And also another thing that helps is seasonal patterns, understanding the seasonal patterns. What pattern or what season is the fish in right now? Are they in the spawn, post-spawn, beginning of summer? Is it fall? Is it winter? You know, understanding that will actually help you understand what those fish will be doing at those certain times. So I'm glad that you guys got to come out here with me. I like to mumble a lot. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Just you know, stay tuned and continue to watch Bass with Buddy.